Hi guys, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this fun fold peekaboo card. I know you've seen me make this many times. The card inspiration for this was someone that I found on, I can't remember where, but I will put their name below in the description. I make a lot of this layout of card, but I love the color combination. Never thought about this. What a great color combination. Blueberry bushel, Shy Shamrock, and then I used gray granite. Yep, that's it, gray granite for the tools part, just to kind of make them a little more tool looking. And one other thing I wanted to tell you, if you want to skip the pencil doing it this way, I had done a video some time ago with the whole thing with the tools, and we could never figure out what this little part was here. Well, what this little part actually is the little sharpened part. Do I have a pencil? Yep. It's the little sharpened part of the pencil on the pencil die. So if you put this on there, it actually makes that little doo-doo-doo where you sharpen it. You know, I have to make noises for everything. And that would be your pencil. So this was like if you were using one of those wood pencils. So if you wanted to do that, you could do that as well. But we did it with the stamped and die cut just because it was a little bit easier. So I have all of the... I wonder if I ever, did I do one on here? I should just cut out a little piece. I'm going to cut out just a little piece and show you because I have a little piece of scrap here. Let me just cut this little smidging out here and I'll show you. Might be a little easier to understand. Plus, only takes a couple of seconds to do, so it's not a biggie. But you can see it has that little edge, and then what you do is you would just lay this so it looks like you sharpened your pencil, and then this is your erasure part. Now you can put this up really as far as you wanted to. It depends. Now obviously you wouldn't sharpen your pencil that far up, so kind of somewhere in the middle would be better, but that is what it's for. It only took like 458 years to solve that mystery, but I know I had told some people about it, and then I couldn't figure it out, and so there you go. There's a little update. So we're going to be using the wrench, the hammer, the paintbrush, and the pencil die. But we're going to get started just with some regular stamping first. So this is going to be your inside panel, and you could do as much or as little as you want. I just put 2 wrenches. As you can see, I didn't color them in here because I think I added them after the fact. But what we're going to do to start, a lot of this is just stamping and layering. You are going to layer these pieces together. Actually, this one goes on the top of this. So I already went ahead and cut this. So this is a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece. You're going to score it at 5 1/2. And then how you're going to cut this is you're going to remove 1 1/2 inches from the bottom, and make sure I'm telling you correctly. Yep. So you're going to cut off 1 1/2 inches from the bottom. That way you'll have this piece. And then the way I did it was, because it was just easier for me to figure it out along the way, is I lined it up and cut it at, where would that be? 1 1/4. Make sure I'm telling you correctly. 1 3/4. So I put this at 1 3/4. So I'm going to show you. It'll be a little bit easier. So you have your long piece here. So you'll have your 11 inches. You're going to go ahead and cut off your 1 1/2 inch piece. Bloop, and it's gone. And then I usually take it and I turn it around because I cut from the score line. So what I did was I moved it to 1. Nope, I did it this way. I'm lying. I moved it to 1 3/4. Which is there, and then I cut it off. Now, if it's easier for you to remember it this way, you're going to end up with a piece that's 2 1/4, okay? So this piece is 1 1/2, this piece is 2 1/4, and then this is what you have left. And then you'll have your little pieces that layer on top. So this one's going to be on your small one. So this is a piece of Shy Shamrock. It's 1 1/4. That's going to fit on there. On the large piece, you're going to actually have a white panel because it's just basically holding space for you to put the tools on top of. This, I believe, is 2 inches. Yep. So 2 inches by 4. And then the final piece here is going to go onto this, and this I believe is 1 1/2. Yep, 1 1/2. again, Shy Shamrock, 1.5 by 4. So that is all the measurements. Then you do need your piece of 4 by 5.25 for the inside. And then you need a scrap for your tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our tools, and then we will stamp the rest of it. We're going to stamp our tools in Memento, and we can also stamp the tools on the bottom of this as well. Just grab my scrap paper for that portion. So what I did is I kind of lined them up in a row because I found it was easier to die cut them. So I'm going to stamp the paintbrush, and then I'm going to stamp the hammer. Again, I am stamping on a pad here. If not, you want to have a photopolymer, not a photopolymer, I'm sorry, a Stampin' Pierce mat. I think they just call it a Stampin' mat now because I guess we're not doing any piercing anymore. So there's one. And then you're going to put your hammer in here, and it kind of just gives you enough room. Personally, this is why I did it, because you can die cut everything without really having to move stuff all over the place. And sometimes I find that if you can do more with less, it's easier. Time saving, really. So just give yourself just a little space. After that, then you need your wrench and your pencil. So I kind of just skinnied the pencil in between here, like that. And then the wrench is next to it. And you could probably stamp both of those. Let's see if they'll fit. Now, this one won't. I was going to say together, but we'll just stamp this guy, and then I'll do the pencil. Stamp. And finally, pencil. Now, you do need to go back in and stamp your color. So here's where you have the choice. You could either stamp them kind of alternating if you wanted to. You could stamp them all the same. It really just depends on what you want to do with it. And then I just brushed the metal parts or the brush part with the gray ink just to kind of give them that. Most tools do have that silver head finish, so that's what I did. So again, we're going to now grab, we have our paintbrush handle, and I'll do them opposite for this. So Blueberry Bushel and Shy Shamrock are our colors, and if you have them so they're not really super inked, they're kind of splotchy, it really gives them that older look. So it really depends. You don't have to, if you like them to be perfectly colored in, that's also completely fine. So we have our brush, then we're going to do, I'll do the pencil. So the brush and the pencil match. And right like that. And then we need our handle for, and this is actually the same. Is it? Nope, it's not the same. I was going to say, I thought it was the same. This one is for the wrench. So Shy Shamrock for the wrench handle, and there's a smaller one for the hammer. You can see it lines up there. Okay, and I'm also going to, I'm going to set this on the side for a second. I'm just going to stamp, I want to grab this. I'm going to stamp my outline. So instead of doing the wrench for this one, I'll do the hammer. And then we have one more thing that we're going to add to the layers. So again, I'm just going to ink this in Memento. Hit the nail on the head. There you go for those. And I'm going to grab. Now for the pieces, when you're stamping tonal and tone, you really can do anything, but I usually tend to line them up just because I think it's a little bit more fun when there's pieces of one overlapping, even just accidentally. So I'm going to use the measuring tape, and I'm going to put my blue away because I don't need that at all. So we're just going tonal and tone. So I just kind of stamped my measuring tape all over going to grab the screws. And the screws I kind of got a little bit more filling in with because these are definitely good space fillers. So you want to use your larger images first and then move on to the smaller space fillers. Oh, and one other thing I forgot. And the only thing that you're going to stamp on this white panel is your sentiment. So just depending on what you want to do, what I usually do is try to line it up with the bottom of your grid paper so at least you know it's straight. So you could do "You're the most awesome," "Thank you," "Happy Father's Day." You could do many, many other sentiments as well, but I'm going to just go with "Thank you." And I think I did that one in blue, so that's why we needed the blue, but I'm going to just change it and we're going to do it with green. So Shy Shamrock, again, I'm just lining it up on the bottom. It is a tight fit, but it fits. Looks good. Might have had my little U hanging off a little bit at the bottom, but no worries. It is what it is. Okay, so now I'm going to put all of these aside. The only other thing we need to do is our gray portion. So I'm just moving all of my stamps out of the way so I don't have any sort of a catastrophe. And we'll do our blending. So, oh, you know what I didn't do? See, I am really just... I'm so organized and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I forgot to stamp the colors in on those. So let's see. That one would be, where is that? Here. And I'm just going to make them green because I already have the green. They're already green on there, so we'll just do green. So just need a little bit for this one. Not even that much. And there you go. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to grab our blending brush. And so make sure I have one that's correct. Yep. So gray granite. And again, it doesn't need to be, oh, I must have just inked this. Look how heavy that is. It doesn't need to be super inked. And that's probably why I didn't do this, because I did have it on the whole entire thing. And I guess I didn't want to have gray all over it. The other thing that I did is I actually tapped in it. And I feel like it gave it a little bit more of a texture. So you do your blending and then come back in, maybe tap your ends. So there's that. This is going to be the inside panel. And now you can go a little buck wild when you're doing this part because it's not really as important because you're going to die cut it. Okay, and then here's where I just kind of tapped, because when you die cut it, it almost gives it like a worn look to your tools. I mean, anyone who actually does work with tools knows that they don't stay in perfect condition very long if you're using them. Okay, so that's it. Pretty easy. Now, one other thing to note, if this is something that bothers you, you can smooth it out a little bit, but I kind of think it gives it almost like that weathered look. So as I was saying, when you have your blue and it's kind of worn, it kind of looks like, you know, you really did actually use your tool. And I do have a brand new Wink of Stella brush here, so just gonna squeeze it. If you've never done that before, you just take out the little black ring and then you squeeze. Let's see if you can see that when it comes down. There you go. You can see that shiny bit right there. You don't really need a lot. It does start coming, whoops, out on the tip, as you can see. So usually what I'll do is just slurp it up. I typically would have this on the glass mat here, but since I dripped into my hand. And then that kind of reinforces that shiny part like we were talking about on your tools. The part that's used, it kind of gets worn off a little bit. If you wanted to, you could always put a little bit on your handle. Now, since this Wink of Stella is wet, it actually will reblend your ink. So you can see that it's kind of filling it in. So if you don't really like the splotchy look, you're going to just take your Wink and you're going to reactivate that ink. Just make sure you clean it off in between or everything will be that color. So it's kind of cool. Gives it like that wet look. I'll show you one more time down here so you can see it kind of respreads your color and reactivate your ink. So again, probably not everybody wants shiny, sparkly tools, but you know, whatever it is, what it is. And now I have a shiny, sparkly hand. So be careful getting Wink of Stella on. I'm sure it'll come off with some soap and water. So now that's our inside panel. This we have to hook. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to die cut these. So we have these 4 die cuts. And I'm going to try my best to see if we can get most of them done. That way we don't have to do it too many times. But we'll see if that does or doesn't work out for me. Sometimes it does. I hope wherever you all are, you're having a wonderful day. We have definitely had a nice tease of spring here in the mid-Atlantic, which is amazing. But it's supposed to be a little chilly the next 2 days. But then I think we're going back to nice spring temperatures again, which will be really fun. It's fun for the kids because they get outside during recess and really have a good time, which especially for, I mean, you would think that would be really important for the preschoolers, but honestly, I think it's just as important for the kids that are in 4th and 5th grade, especially because they have a lot of, we're going to do this one separately, they have a lot of testing that they do in the spring, and when they get to just go outside and run all their crazies off, I think it really makes their day go faster. It's great for us having preschoolers because, you know, they do a lot more learning than they did back in the days when, well, first off, I don't even think they had preschool when I was growing up. I'm sure probably most of you didn't experience preschool either. But they do a lot more actual learning, or I guess some days we'll say attempted learning. But when they get a break to go outside, it is just super helpful. You know, kids, more than anything, especially little kids, they need to be able to run around and have fun, play on the playground. The cool part is when they see like signs of spring and they'll come and tell you like the joyous thing that they found and they're so excited about it. That's the best. So we're going to go ahead and put, I'm just moving all my little pieces out of the way. We're going to put this together. Put that over there. Okay, so for assembly of this card, it is fairly simple. I'm going to just take and fold. This is the main base card, so I'm just going to use my bone folder and really reinforce this fold. We're going to put this on the bottom first. Okay, and then we're going to put our layers together. And you could certainly stamp something else in there if you wanted to. Your choice. So we're going to have the white that goes onto this blueberry bushel layer. And we're going to add the other tool pieces just with glue. Now, if you wanted to, you could totally add them with dimensionals. Just know that it does increase the... oops, I lost that piece. It does increase the postage when things are a little bit thicker. So kind of keep that in mind. I want to make sure that I have these lined up the way I did them correctly. Was it that way? Was it this way? Who knows what way it was? There we go. So this one is at the top. This is at the bottom. Now, I suppose it doesn't really matter, but if you went to the effort to stamp them so they kind of matched, I guess you really want them to match, right? All right, so there's that piece, and then this piece is going to go down here. Let's just make sure I still have that. Yep, lined up correctly. I'm going to glue this on. And again, these are just a 1/4 inch shy, so they're 4 inches. This is 1.5 inches, so this is 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to line this, and then you're going to put glue on the top and bottom of this. But first, let's put our pieces on. So I kind of just went with what I thought was a good-ish display pattern, but let's make it, we'll just change it up a little bit. So if you have your hammer up that way, ooh, see, we can't do that because these are going to face the wrong direction. And that looks pretty good. Let's see if we can remember to glue it down that way. So I'm going to just put some glue. I'm going to try not to go overlap because I don't want to accidentally glue the card shut. So I'm really just going in the center there. And if it hangs off a little bit, it's okay. And then this one, same. This one is a little bit shorter, so we really shouldn't have too much problem. This one, again, I'm not going to put any on the head of the wrench just because I don't want it to accidentally glue something down. Just hold that for a second. I feel like they're lifting up just a little bit. And it's probably because they're gluing onto something, over something to the bottom. So just press on that for a second. And with the pencil, I'm going to put glue all the way down because I don't want to lose him by accident. Kind of nice because I like the way it's pointing. The pencil is pointing to the writing on this one versus the other one. Got a little bit of glitter there that's sticking to the glue. Well, you know, making cards and making tools is a little messy, I suppose, right? So now what we're going to do is just eyeball where we want this, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the top and the bottom. Make sure you have a good amount because you don't want your card to fall apart, but you just don't want to go up too high that you accidentally glue your card closed. So just make sure where you need your glue that you have a good amount of glue. Now, I usually find that putting this on the side tends to help me put it straight. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this here, and I kind of line the bottom up so it's exactly where it's supposed to be. And then I will press this down with my other finger and kind of hope that I mostly get it in the center. But the good part is, since you're using liquid glue, as you just saw, it does wiggle a little bit. So if you need to turn it or adjust it a little bit, it's fine. And I did get a little overzealous with my gluing. I have a little bit peeking out here, but the good part about Tombow is it does dry clear. So once it's dry, it'll be okay. And then once it is fully dry, and I don't want to do it yet, it does stand up by itself, so that's cool, but I don't want to make it wonky by moving it. So really super cool color combination. I think that's the best part about this card. So I will, again, post the person that I got this card inspiration from because it was really, really cool. I will post that in the description below here on YouTube. But if you'd like to get any of these supplies, all you have to do is go to my online store. All the links are below. I'll have all the measurements on my blog for this card in case you missed anything in the beginning or you weren't writing it down or you just weren't paying attention, because I know we all make cards at different times in different parts of the day. Sometimes I will actually listen to card stuff when I'm doing something else. And then the worst part is I can't remember where I got it from. I think that's my biggest problem. Sometimes I struggle to find where was that card that I found, and I spend more time looking for it than I did if I just paid attention in the beginning. So good thing for you to know is I always do have the measurements of everything listed on my blog. So if you haven't already followed along, you can find me at Rachthestamper.com. I hope you found this fun and useful, and you will find something else to do with your stamp set if you already have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, I would love for you to like, subscribe, follow, and share. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.